Welcome back to the morning show here on the Rise News. I am Adesua Omorwan.
I'm Rafai Hosseini.
And I am Sheito Atigari. Good morning. Now, as Attorney Generals of the 6 Southwest states have finished putting touches to the required legal framework for the functioning of Operation Amotekun, aimed at combating crimes in the region, the Niger Deltans are also on the verge of forming their own regional security outfit.
Now, in a letter,
Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement, a movement in support of self-determination and justice and equity for the Niger Delta people, have sent out a letter to all the Niger Delta states.
in a letter dated 19th of February this year and sent to the chairman of the South-South Governors Forum and the governor of Delta State, Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, and signed by the convener, Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement, Ankyo Briggs, the group urges Governor Okowa to convene a security summit to agree on a regional security network. And the letter reads in part, "What's true of Delta State is true of all the South-South states. There is absolutely no state in the South-South that is immune from the rampaging and ravaging killer herdsmen and the security breach they bring with them. Your Excellency, it is on the above premise that NDS-DM humbly suggests that you use your good office as the chairman of the South-South Governors Forum to urgently summon a South-South Security Summit with your brother governors, along with the people of the Niger Delta, to agree on a regional security network that will aid the overstretched established security agencies in combating the unacceptable level of insecurity across the Niger Delta region."
Very insightful one there. Joining us now to discuss the current drive for formation of Niger Delta Security Outfit is Ankyo Briggs, an English-born Nigerian environmental and human rights activist. It's a joy having you here and see you in person, being with us in the studio.
Thank you so much.
It is very sad that the matters on ground are currently happening, especially the one that happened recently in Ughelli. It was a slap on the face of a lot of people. And there's a need for this formation. I mean, what was the thought pattern behind you writing this letter in the first place? What's the spirit of the letter?
The spirit of the letter is, it should be the spirit for everybody. It's the same spirit that moved and accumulated into the Amatekun security outfit. Literally, you and I, as individuals, we put doors on our doors to thank you very much, on our houses, and sometimes we put bars on the windows and everything. Why do we do that? We do that because we want to assure our own security. The primary role of government, of governance, of anybody in government, is security of life and property. Now, whether we like it or not, as far back as you can take it, Nigeria as a country have been progressively being unable to provide security for its people. The president himself have admitted that foreigners are coming into Nigeria to kill Nigerians. So this all of a sudden, it really is not just South against the North. It is the reality. When you hear governors say, you know, I'm a Fulani governor, I'm a Fulani man, and therefore every Fulani person across Africa has a right to come into Nigeria. When you make statements like that, it's very frightening. And whatever spirit develops out of that is a justified spirit. People are entitled to be able to feel that they will not wake up in the morning and find strangers in my community. I have people that I don't know who they are, where they have come from. They're renting shops, they are selling things to my local economy, controlling the local economy. If we don't discuss it, my grandmother used to say, if I don't point out something, it doesn't mean I don't know that that thing is there. If we refuse to discuss what is happening in Nigeria, it doesn't mean that it's not happening. It means that we're afraid to discuss it. Now, when we get to that level where we are afraid to discuss what we are afraid of, then we're totally a finished person. I refuse to be amongst those people. The Niger Delta Self-Determination Movement is just what it says. It's made up of all the different ethnic nationalities. It doesn't matter whether it's one person from Niger and three people from Urobo. We are Niger Delta people that have come together since 2014 and have said that since our governors, for political purposes, will not be able to say those things that we expect them to say and do the things we want them to do on our behalf, then we, the people, must be able to tell them that they are doing it wrong. This includes the governors, the traditional rulers, the chiefs, the high chiefs, the low chiefs, whatever title you choose to give to yourself in my name, then you must step up and take responsibility.
Okay. Since that letter was written, I think it's been about 5 days?
On the 19th, and it was mailed on the 20th.
Okay, so thereabouts. What's been the response of Governor Kowa first? And secondly, what's your response to those who say, and the Inspector General of Police as well as the Attorney General of the Federation have made this point, there can't be regional police because the Constitution does not recognize regions, but states. And even if you are to create state policing, you would have to make a recourse to the Constitution for amendment. So my question is, have you given a thought to Senator Ike Ekweremadu's bill for state police creation, which is being considered by the Senate? Don't you think that's a better option to go?
Well, you see, while we are thinking whether Ekweremadu's bill is a best option to go or not, people are still being killed. We have to have a quick answer where you can go to sleep, I can go to sleep. My people in the community, the farmers, can go to sleep and know that they can wake up and not have their farm. Look, we're going to face starvation very soon. The way this thing is structured, this is a very structured attack and takeover. And in terms of what is the response of the governors, I don't know if they have responded. I've not received any response, but it was posted by DHL. So the receipts are there to show that they have gone to them. Now, whether they have received it, whether they've seen it on their desk or not, I don't know. So there is no response from them. But that does not mean that we won't take it to the next level. We will take it to the next level. Now, having said that, now, if we have a constitution that bars us from exercising certain rights that this very constitution guarantees, and that's why the Constitution of Nigeria is almost self-defeating. And some people sat down and made sure that this constitution is written in a way where when you come to say we want state police, somebody quickly says to you, but you have to go to the National Assembly. Great. When we get to the National Assembly, it's a bill that will be looked at. When it is looked at, we have representatives of 17 states in the National Assembly of the South, and then we have 19 states in the National Assembly in the South. And so when they vote, sorry, thank you, of the North, when the votes are cast and every senator in the North of the 19 states vote against the bill is dead. Even if all the 17 states, the 3 senators, vote for that bill, it is defeated. So where then does the Constitution help? And that is why we must then know, before we even take these things on, Ekweremadu must know whether this bill will go through or not. He should have a plan that will now go forward to make sure his bill moves on. How do we do that? We do that by then making sure that that particular section of that constitution that does not allow for what the people want, which is state police, we can't run away from where we are today in Nigeria, where we're demanding for state police. Because the reason for state police is existing, it is real, and it's getting worse. And so to say that the Constitution does not allow for it is not a good enough excuse. We must change it so that we get it.
Definitely. I agree to an extent. But I'm thinking about this, considering Nigeria's political violence landscape, don't you find it a bit worrisome? Aren't you worried that these vigilante groups might turn out to, that are being formed along regional and ethnic lines? Because there are trains of thoughts that a lot of Nigerian politicians would use this security outfits as political tools in order to, I guess, push forward their own personal agendas. What do you think about this?
Definitely, for me, in my opinion, I've been active in speaking the truth and expressing how Nigeria affects my people and, in turn, the whole of Nigerians. Now, I believe that if we don't face the truth in Nigeria, the refusal to face the truth in Nigeria is what is actually going to destroy Nigeria and eventually bring Nigeria down and pieces Nigeria. Now, if we say that because we think politicians are going to use it against their opponents, what is it exactly that politicians are doing now anyways? The attack on judges, arrest on judges, the way the CJN was removed from office. What are those things? The present CJN has said that they want to change the constitution. They want to, in a way that every state will have Sharia law. It's not a speculation. It is something he said. He said it on air. It's not that it was reported only in the media print. Now, when I hear that as a Christian and somebody coming from the South, when I hear that, I say to myself, no, you're not going to bring Sharia law to my state because my state is not a Muslim state. It's a Christian state. So Sharia law will not function even though you have Muslims in my state. Christians are more than them. So you see, these are the narratives that we're trying to run away from and saying we shouldn't bring ethnicity into it. If you don't bring ethnicity into it, who am I? What am I? You said I am a British born. My mother is British. My father is Nigerian. My father is Ijo. He's from Rivers State. I've never lived outside of Rivers State in my entire life, except when I went abroad. And when I was brought here. Now, I have no desire to go to and live in any other part of Nigeria. Does that make me a bad Nigerian? No. I have no desire to inculcate another person's culture. Does that mean I'm a bad Nigerian? No. Let us face the reality. I'm Ijo. I'm from Niger Delta. I want what is right and good for my people. So if we think that politicians are going to use this thing to chase their opponents, we should build the law in a way that it will do what it is meant to do, which is protect people, and do what it is not meant to do, which is use it against your political opponent. When I was a little girl, growing up in my community in the Creeks, we had this, what we are now referring to as regional police and community police. The police were from my community. And we know where they lived. So he can't do nonsense because his children go to the same school. He's in the same community. He must do the right thing.
Okay, just to come in, we've got about a minute to break. This has been talked about even before now. I mean, it was even one of the recommendations of the last Sovereign National Conference we had. So we started talking about it since 2004. I think somebody has pushed this forward. That's Ike Ekweremadu, the former Deputy Senate President. I mean, it's going to go through its first reading today in the House. I mean, what's your take about that? Is it a right step in the right direction? And that's for state police. And should everybody, rally around that? Because when you look at his proposal and submission, quite very robust. Federal police, state police, just like it works in other parts of the world. And the ability to be able to have like a commission, police service commission, to act as an adjudicator to see when anything goes wrong. So I'd like to know your take on this. Right step in the right direction, but it's going to be after this quick commercial break. Right, still joining us. Welcome back if you're just joining us. In fact, on the morning show right here on Rise News Channel, we have Ankyo Briggs, English-born Nigerian environmentalist and human rights activist. And we're talking, about the state of the nation. We're talking about regional policing, and we're talking on the heels of the things that have just happened recently in the state, on the heels of your letter that you wrote to a couple of South governors. And I did ask a question earlier on. I said somebody has taken the bull by the end, Ike Ekweremadu. Should everybody support this? Should this be the deal breaker for us? State policing bill.
I believe it's a person, and by the grace of God, somebody who's been exposed. Exposed meaning that at least I've been able to live outside of Nigeria and enjoy the benefits of how these things work in other people's country. It's not perfect. It's not perfect anywhere. You will find faults here and there. We're all human beings. But basically, when it works generally, then the majority are satisfied. And it's the minority issues that you begin to address, not the issues of the majority. So it is very important right now, today in Nigeria, that the government listens and allow the people to make decisions that make them comfortable. It's the only way to make them better Nigerians. It's the only way to make you and I believe that we have a stake that we have to protect in Nigeria. If I feel I am not secure in my region, in my state, and that somebody else is in control, then I have lost power. I have lost control. Somebody else makes decisions for me. I'm no longer loyal to what does not guarantee my security. It is very important that if we have nothing to hide, then we allow for state security, where the indigents of the place are the people who take responsibility for security of their states. If you have a stake in Rivers State, then when you join the police force of Rivers State, you will do the best that you can. If you don't, then you are the sore thumb, and it's easy to pick you out. Anything that anybody says today that is going to go against this guarantee of the majority of the people to feel secure by allowing for state police in Nigeria is further going to destroy whatever little fiber and fabric that is left holding Nigeria together as a country. People are getting private security. People are moving around with moped soldiers, civilian, JTF, anything you want to call it, because they don't feel secure. And if you don't feel secure, you will do to protect yourself. It is important that all the senators from all the southern states, 17 of them, support the bill that Ekweremadu is bringing up today. Failure on anybody that is so-called representing us to support this bill, to take it to second reading and actually have it passed as law, will be seen by us, the people, who feel fearful for our lives, as they, the politicians or the traditional rulers or youths or whatever, actually working against the people. It is not about political party. It should be about you and I. I should be able to vote for somebody today as a APC member because of what I know he is bringing, and not vote for a PDP person because I know that what he's bringing is not in my interest. But we've constructed Nigeria in such a way that politics has become regional, and yet we're denying that we're not thinking as people who are from a region. We're thinking as people who are from a region of an ethnic nationality. It doesn't make us less Nigerians. It makes me a better Nigerian if I feel that despite my ethnicity, that I am equal to the other person from another. Yes.
Let's talk about the existing structure of security. Because what we have seen in recent times is that we relegate the urgency to protect the lives of people and property that we're talking about to politicizing the usefulness or the impact of this security outfits or initiative. And I want to read a part of your distress letter you wrote to Governor Okowa because it was published in some dailies, if you permit me. You say, "We can no longer trust the established security agencies to protect our people, as they have shown a high level of complicity and sometimes outright connivance with the killer herdsmen to attack, kill, kidnap, rape, molest, and terrorize our people. So this is not a case of capacity or capability for you. You are now accusing the established security of connivance and complicity. Tell us more.
I am standing on accepted utterances and statements by people who are representing us. T.Y. Danjuma said it a couple of years ago, that there is collusion, there is connivance, there is working together with the armed forces. And things have happened where police have arrested kidnappers and the military have released them. The military have arrested Boko Haram people and in some colorful way are able to differentiate who has become a renewed mindset that can be released back into society.
A repentant?
Yes. Repentant terrorists and things like that. Well, for somebody like me, that is nonsense as far as I'm concerned. When I watch a video that is not a stimulated video, I watch somebody's head, like the last one of the Khan representative, that was his head was chopped off. And when you see children of 10 years old actually indoctrinated to the point that a 10-year-old, I can't imagine it because I've had 4 children and I've seen them go through the stages of 10 years old. I can't imagine it being that this can be my child, but that's somebody's child that has been indoctrinated. You have parents who are doing this. So these things, if we refuse to accept that they are happening, then we're saying we don't want to solve the problem. If we find ourselves in a situation where the military, the Nigerian army, Obasanjo said they are not trained to differentiate between who is a repentant anything. How can the army get involved in arresting people, and then you say you put them through what? And then you now release them back maybe 6 months or so after into society. And where are they coming? I have a fear. And you need to convince me that I shouldn't that they are coming to the Niger Delta.
Okay, so let me bring in a political angle here. A lot of people are saying the reason why this repentant militants, and there's been a talk about a bill to be pushed forward very soon that give them an agency that will be able to cater to them. A lot of people make a political argument that it's so easy for you to say otherwise, but your people from the Niger Delta got their own amnesty program, and they were taken abroad and the like, and they were repentant. So if militants from the Niger Delta could be repentant, how about people from the north?
Well, you see, on the example or posing one by the other, because I am involved, or I was involved, or I am still involved because I'm still from the Niger Delta, in the discussion of how the amnesty came to be accepted. Personally, and with a group of people, we even felt that amnesty should not have been accepted. We should have accepted a ceasefire. Because what we were talking about is what we're still talking about till tomorrow. Injustice, equity and justice, liberty, freedom. These are the things, ownership of our resources. And we're still talking about it today. Those were the things that we discussed. That's how NDDC came about under Obasanjo. That was how amnesty came about under Yar'Adua. Personally, I believed Yar'Adua very well, that he meant well, but we will never know because he died. Now, you cannot compare equity and justice, liberty, development that we are talking about in the Niger Delta, where our resources are carted away and we are left with nothing but destruction and devastation. And then you have a group of people who say that their name alone says Western education is bad. They don't want you to have anything good. They want to kidnap women and marry them off by force. It doesn't matter whether they're 12 or 13. These are repugnant things, thoughts, to even imagine in one's head. So you can see that there is a difference between me and this type of thinking. I can never think like that. So when people compare the Niger Delta armed agitation to what is happening today, and that because we our people accepted amnesty. First of all, the money that sustains the amnesty is coming from the Niger Delta. The money that they want to use to sustain these terrorists, it will still come from the Niger Delta. That alone, in my opinion, knocks it completely out and completely is not acceptable by me. But the bottom line as a Nigerian is truly, even people from the north, Ndume them, are saying that it is offensive to even propose it. So a mind that can think that it can come into the National Assembly, as sacred as that place is to the rights of people, and raise such a notion to Nigerians who are killed in their thousands, and there is nobody that has ever been taken to court, I could be wrong, on the premise that they are a member of Boko Haram and that they beheaded somebody and that they are now being sentenced either to death or to 50 years or 20 years in jail. Not one single person. And yet, an Ijo man and his brother, Henry Oka, Charles Oka, Ebiwari, are in jail. Henry Oka is in South Africa. What did they do? They have been accused and found guilty of setting off bombs in Eagle Square when Jonathan was the president.
On Independence Day.
Now, compare that act that they've been found guilty of and compare it to what Boko Haram has been doing and what killer headsmen. There are killer headsmen and there are people that are not killer headsmen. If we say it doesn't exist or they don't want to discuss it, that's a business. I want to discuss it. They are there. They are in my community, and I'm afraid.
Okay. we're going to go on a quick break very shortly. When we come back, we're going to talk about the template of how this regional securities would work if, in fact, it is brought to the Niger Delta. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. We're still joined by Ankyo Briggs, an English-born and Nigerian environmental and human rights activist, talking about the Niger Delta Regional Security Formation. Now, I wanted to just talk about the templates. I mean, we have Amotekun, we have Shege Kafansa, and very recently Obonigwe. Now, we know that apart from this insecurity and insurgency in Niger Delta, the conflict with the herdsmen, we also have the problem of environmental pollution and destruction of lands as a result of oil exploration activities. Now, looking at the templates of these other regional security outfits, they're supposed to just be intelligence gathering to help the police. Now, do you think that that is enough, seeing as there's a slight difference in the problems that are currently faced by the Niger Deltans?
You see, if, for instance, when we refuse to adapt certain laws that will be effective, if we refuse to adapt it, that's why the river follows. That's why river is very easy, it's free, it just follows. Now, if we refuse to adapt, then we cannot solve the problem. Now, for instance, if you say that that the regional police thing is only for intelligence gathering, how does that protect me in my community, my people in our community, when people wake up one morning and you can't go to your farm, they're carrying AK-47? How does intelligence gathering help? If you say that this outfit is to protect, yes, you have to gather intelligence to know what is happening. But you also have, from that intelligence, when you hear and you know that tomorrow these people are coming, then you need to put people a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles apart that will be armed to stop them from coming. Intelligence gathering that they are coming, fine. And then you sit down there, they come. How does the intelligence gathering then help the fact that you knew that they were coming, and they still came, and they still did what they wanted to do? There will be a crisis of food very soon, within the next year or so. And now that already naturally the heat that has come to Nigeria that we're enduring now, it's purely to do with the environment and the ozone layer and all of that. So when you come to the Niger Delta region, these are things that are of concern to us. They may not be concerns to other people. Then you have the issue of the pollution. The issue of the pollution, even the suit that is going on mainly in Rivers State, but in other states.
Harcourt, what you said.
Yes.
Heavy suit concentration in Port Harcourt.
Because you see, it affects our health. I have issues with my skin. Many other people do have issues, breathing issues and things like that. It's as a direct result of this. Now, if, for instance, the military, the police, civil defense, whatever, says that they have caught people who are selling illegal refined products and you burn it, the environmental law worldwide does not even allow you to burn a product because there is a reaction. It goes into the air. And yet, you have police, army who know that this thing is dangerous when you burn it. And still, when they can't get it, they set fire to it. And it gives you the impression that they know what they are doing and that it is also part of the process of destroying the Niger Delta people and the Niger Delta region. The environment of the Niger Delta that has so far been destroyed. People say UNEP report, UNEP report. Let's not forget that UNEP report was carried out 10 years or more ago. It did not stop the devastation of the environment. It continued. So that report is belated. The report that we're working with today is belated. It's furthermore devastated the environment. So now, when you use those measurements in the Niger Delta for the environment, for instance, and the environment is still being devastated, now our people who are looking for source of income are involved in devastating the environment because they are looking for a source of income. They don't have to stop it, but they have to stop the process where it is devastating the environment.
Okay.
The government is holding that back. So whichever way you look at it, when I finish my analysis and I say that it is all part of the process to kill and destroy my people, I am justified in that thinking because the government is doing exactly those things to devastate the environment. So the government is turning a blind eye to the issues of the headsmen. You look, that you're a Nigerian does not give you a right to move into my community, hundreds of you, to take over my community. There are in certain communities where strangers are more than the youths of that community living and sleeping there. There has to be something very wrong with that, and our people must wake up to that realization. It's all good that we have some people living abroad and preferring solutions from America and from the UK, but some of us who also can live in the UK but choose to live in Nigeria also have those solutions, but we're sitting right here. We must do the right thing.
Indeed, homegrown solutions right here at home.
Yes.
You have been an advocate for restructuring, and I have this intertwined questions for you. I mean, when you look at the birth of the leopard vigilante, which is the Amotekun in the southwest, the controversial Shege Kafasa in the north, what the southeast governors are attempting to do, we're not quite sure, and what you are clamoring for the south-south region. Would you say we are witnessing the first positive step to restructuring? If we are not, there's this 56-man steering constitutional review committee that's been set up. It's headed by the Deputy Senate President Ove Omoagege. What would you like to top that constitutional review amendment that we're about to witness?
Well, first of all, let us see, for the sake of, let us not prejudge whatever it is. But past experiences have also shown us that really and truly, nothing will come out of it. And for somebody like me who is skeptical, I have to wait till the end, because I was a delegate at the national 2014 national conference. And most of the things that are playing out here, state police and all of that. For instance, I joined in the group that supported the Yoruba call at the national conference for state police. Personally, I supported it. Then by state and by region, the Yorubas did not get the support that they needed for state police. If they did, we will not be here. You see? So that's why I'm saying that if we wait and see what they come up with, we will see that we will get nowhere. We have politicians who have perfected the art of deceiving us. We, the people, have also perfected the act of accepting that there is nothing we can do about any situation we find ourselves in. So the constitution review that is being set up, for me, is a waste of time, is a waste of money. We came up with a report. We need to look at the 2014 National Conference report. It's the latest report of different things being set up at different times, from agitation of Nigerians, whether it is to do with the Constitution. The Constitution of Nigeria, 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, is highly faulty from page 1. We the people did not. So we need to have a constitution. Even if we start with this constitution and begin to remove the things that does not support we the people, then we're getting somewhere. The 2014 National Conference, by the time the report came out, if you take your time to look at the suggestions that have been made in that report, if we follow the suggestion, and everybody was in that National Conference, and we all agreed by voting, whether you liked it or not. If the consensus was more to the left, then that's it, even if you were on the right-hand side of the argument. So now, if you take that report alone, and you do what the report says, as and how you're going along, by the time you finish, you will have a brand new constitution. Because whatever is an obstacle for achieving rights to land, for instance, and rights to natural resources, for instance, if you now remove what takes it from me and gives it to the federal government from the Constitution and allow it to take place, you've changed that part of the Constitution. So by the time you finish, you have a brand new Constitution, and therefore you have a brand new Nigeria. You have a happy people. The slogan, Nigeria, happy people, this one and that one, is just a slogan. It has to be effective.
Okay, but the sad part, as is always the case, is you did a lot of work. You did a very good report, close to over 1,000 pages, but the report has not been implemented. Why? Because of a lack of political will. Mm-hmm. Do you think that lack of political will has perpetrated the insecurity challenges we have? Mm. Do you think it has perpetrated the corruption challenges we have, as we wrap up?
Yes. It is the lack of political will, as we choose, well, as we identify it here in Nigeria, the lack of political will. I call it the lack of doing the right thing. It's the lack of doing the right thing. We all know what will fix Nigeria. But because of selfishness and greed, because of corruption, we have refused to do what is right in Nigeria. And that's why Nigeria is still tumbling and fumbling and going along the way that it is going along. But at some point, it will come to a dead end and it will stop. Now, Nigeria and Nigerians can, I've always believed it, can stay together as a country. The question I've always asked, as far as I can recall, maybe as far as maybe I was 6 or 8, because I remember independence very well, is that how do we live together? There is no consensus of living together. Nigeria was created by Lugard. When people say God created Nigeria, I disagree. God did not create Nigeria.
Lugard did it.
God created Nigerians.
Yeah.
Lugard created Nigeria.
Yeah.
And so Nigerians have to create Nigeria. We can even change the name. How we do it is what, yes, is
okay,
what
in 10
we should.
seconds to go, because we have to go in 10
Yes.
seconds. Should the governors of the South not respond to your demand of this region? What next?
Well,
10 seconds.
If they don't respond, the next stage is to tell them that we have no confidence in their governance.
Okay, thank you so much. That's a great place to hang it.